Together we question.
Together we achieve.
Together we create.
Together we overcome.
And together we inspire. Welcome to the Empower You podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by ONC, Ocean Networks Canada. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Empower You, a podcast based out of the University of Victoria that tells the inspiring stories of students, industry leaders, researchers, and anyone who's intending to make an impact in the world. Our show is hosted by Inspire You Vic, a program centered around providing opportunities to underrepresented groups in STEM. I'm your co-host, Parker DeBrune.
And I'm your co-host, Jenna Melman.
And today with us is Ali and Nowshin. Would you guys care to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, for sure. Nowshin, you want to go first?
Sure. I am Nowshin. I'm one of the program coordinators. To be specific, Apprentice Garage program coordinators of the Inspire program. And I am happy to be here.
Awesome. And my name's Ali. Before I start, I'm a human being.
It's nice to meet you, human being. I'm also a human being.
I'm also a human being.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Imposter.
I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a computer engineering and society student from McMaster University, also doing a minor in business. Yes, I'm at the University of Victoria right now, and that is for a great reason. It is because I'm similar to Nowshin. I am currently on the executive team of the Inspire program, and currently my role is to be the Apprentice Garage coordinator.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Do you want to elaborate a bit on what your role within the Inspire program is? So what is a Apprentice Garage coordinator? Nowshin?
Sure, I can go first. So we have this program where we have students working on projects, community projects. So our role is to help them through this project and how they can really overcome all the adversities, or like making a schedule for them, to be specific, or like giving them a plan for the whole program. So our job was to guide them through the entire summer.
Did you guys do the ripen planning then? Like the milestones? Because whoever did that, like
it was part of it. Yeah.
So initially when we started making the whole schedule, it was part of the schedule, like the milestones.
Mm-hmm.
But ripen came in later, but the milestones were always there.
Okay, yeah, because they've been spookily well timed and like on point for every part of the project we've gone through so far.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, we're glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Just to expand on what Nowshin had said, the coordinators, or what we've done in general, we've defined our own jobs. Like when I was approached to do this from my university, it was through IBM actually. I did a similar garage project at IBM, and they wanted to expand it. So what we essentially had done is build something from scratch. We put in the foundations and kind of the essential structure for this months before we had any students, and months before we had any people employed. And then our jobs transitioned from more of a planning and building the mock-ups and blueprints to actually implementing, putting down the cement, actually being there for the students day by day, actually teaching the students in the classroom, actually being there interacting with the students, guiding our Apprentice Garage coordinators too. The ambassador coordinators too, being in line with them. We were if you think of it as generals, we were the generals, making sure that everything on the battlefield was going according to plan.
That must have been so surreal to actually see it come to life.
I'm going to be a real pain, but we don't have our tree yet. We just have a audio recording.
Oh,
that's fine. That's fine.
So there we go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying that.
Edra, just make that look like it
Right?
it was always there.
Yeah. It's just like poor Photoshop, just so like laid over.
I just saw like Nowshin's voice going like, what?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. So we were the people on the ground. We were the first point of contact for all the students. We were there for their advice. We're the go-tos when it comes to many aspects, the behind the scenes that none of the students see. Things like the podcast, like what we're doing right now, actually, coordinating that, getting the equipment ready, and actually getting a team ready for that, which I'm very thankful to have. Like Parker and Jenna are both like fantastic guests, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with us. So.
Yeah, thanks. That means a lot. Yeah.
We were also putting out some fires behind the scenes.
Well,
yeah,
of course, right?
a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
But the best part is that we, from the outside looking in, we can't tell, right?
No,
We just
definitely
see
not.
amazing leadership, and that's all what it's all about.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to you guys because it's been really smooth. And even though I've heard, like, yeah, obviously this is the first year that you guys have run Inspire, like at UVic, but it's been very well structured. So you're playing it pretty cool, gotta say.
And
I'll be honest, I am myself surprised how well it all went, because when we started, we knew nothing. We were like, okay, Ali, let's just make a plan. Like, okay, let's make the milestones. But we definitely didn't know what's going to happen. And it turned out really well.
Mm-hmm.
well, I think confidence is key. Like, this is something that I built prior. I've built many programs similar to this one, so the experience came in super handy. I've been in this situation. I was there as instead, like similar to the students, I was in their position with the ambassadors. I facilitated the training. I was there multiple, like it took iterations of this on smaller scales to see the larger version of Inspire come to life. So it's not like it just came out of nowhere, right? Like there was a lot of work and experience and years of, development that went in. And training to get this off the ground. Yeah. We built it as we went along. We had to, and this is the big P word, which is mentioned in one of the podcasts, the pivot. We had to pivot multiple times. Like
We gotta bleep that word out. That's the only real
that's
swear
the
word
only
we
swear
have.
word we have.
We discussed that anytime someone says pivot, it gets bleeped.
It bleeped out. It's adjusting to your environment, adjusting to what the students need. I'm not sure if anyone's talked about human-centered design, and Nowshin can talk to this, explain this a little bit more in depth. But our centered users were our students. We focused this entire program to be centered around our students' needs, and we cater to that. You can ask Nowshin right now too. When we're looking at the goals for this program, we're happy looking at how the students progress, not really the projects. We're looking at how do the students feel? Are they satisfied with where they're at? And what can we do to make the experience better for them?
And that becomes your benchmark of success, is like seeing the growth in the students. Is that right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Our initial idea was to see the learning outcomes. The Inspire was not about the projects. Like, we don't really want a fully fledged working website. It's the learning outcome, the students' experience, whatever. They've grown so much throughout these 3 months. Even they themselves don't know what they have achieved,
Right.
because it's hard to see across the whole project. Like, okay, this is what we're still building the project, but they aren't able to see their progress themselves.
I
But
absolutely
we-
agree.
Exactly. Like, we as coordinators, we can see that how a silent student has become a great presenter and presenting to the world, and with such confidence. So it's not like we had the entire schedule fixed. We did pivot when the students needed more time.
Pivot.
Yeah. When the students were feeling overwhelmed, we
Yeah.
did change everything.
Huh.
So it's all centered around the
Yeah,
students.
we were extremely dynamic and modular with how we structured the program. If the students felt tired, and there were weeks where, and Parker, you can speak to this, there were weeks where you were hammered down with a lot of work and a lot of deliverables, and it was like, hey guys, and you guys told us, like in class, I think that's something I tried to push as much as possible with my students, is communication. I'm here to talk to you. And sometimes it was like, hey, you're giving us a little bit too much on the plate, and we completely understand. And you'd see us completely shift the entire week and say, hey, week's completely off. Focus on your work.
I gotta say to that, like, we definitely felt heard when it came to feedback. And I think a lot of people at first were hesitant to give feedback because, often that's not something that's supported no matter where you are. Be it like, it's very easy to go unheard in organizations. But yeah, you guys were very responsive to the stuff that we were saying. So that was definitely appreciated.
And yeah, that's the reason why I think a lot of us actually joined the executive team, like Nowshin and I, is because this program's unique. It's not a course. It's not a regular co-op. It's something completely unique and completely new. It's a chance for the students to experience the real world and have, leadership themselves. This is a very, usually in organizational structures, it's very vertical, right? Like you have to go up the ladder to actually make any decisions. I'm pretty sure in Inspire, we're pretty flat. Like we're pretty, horizontal with, decision making. If you have a good idea, go for it.
Yeah.
We'll sit down, listen to you, plan it out with you, and we'll say, go for it.
We'll help you scope it. We'll help you make your idea better, or just listen to you.
It's a little surreal sometimes. Still getting used to it, but it's wonderful.
It definitely is. And like, as an ambassador for one of the projects, I completely agree with Nowshin because the amount of work that you have accomplished in the past 3 months is incredible. Like, it's all about the learning experience. In the beginning, my students were freaked out. None of them came from computer science backgrounds, and they were being told to build an app. And I said, hey, at the end of the day, if we even have a prototype or a mock-up of an app, that's amazing. We almost have a fully functioning app now. And I'm sure Parker can speak to this because you're in a similar situation.
Yeah, definitely similar. We have a diversity of backgrounds. Some of them have, like some of the people on our team have a lot of experience in the tech industry. Other ones don't. So we try to like figure out where everyone's going to fit in the best to maximize learning for the individual, but also the success of the project. So it is nice to like have clarity that the learning is what the priority is for Inspire. It's not just the deliverable of the project. That's very reassuring to hear.
And that definitely comes from the top position, from Dana. And she has allowed us and the teams to explore their way of working. Even as exec members, we are never like forced to do something. We are always allowed to do what we really enjoy doing and what we love to accomplish. So it definitely comes from the top.
Yeah, like huge kudos to Dr. Danielle Damien, who, for the viewers watching, actually spoke in our inaugural episode with Dean and Dr. Mina Hurfar. And yeah, it's similar, very similar to what we just said before. The way we're treating you is the way we are treated, right? Like, we come up with crazy ideas, and our management, or Dr. Damien, as well as like our sponsors, will sit down and actually listen to us. Hey, show us the proof of this, show us your planning, and if we have that down, they let us do it. Like this podcast idea. And yeah,
it's like you mentioned human-centered design. Being like how you guys even started designing this for the students. Like that's day one of what was being taught to us through IBM was like the whole agile process and like being user focused and everything. It's almost like a little bit meta where it's like you guys did that for the students with Inspire. Now we're doing that for the podcast. It's so applicable to so many different things.
Isn't that just life? Isn't that life? It should be human design, like human centered.
Absolutely. And this is hilarious because Parker asked me yesterday. He's like, Jenna, can we sit down and like think about like who the users are in this group? Because now he's just applying design thinking and user experience to every single problem.
I can't help it.
Yeah, and we mapped it out, and we had fun with it.
Yeah,
I mean that's an achievement for us as coordinators that you're still thinking about design thinking. You're still thinking about human-centered design. So that's what we try to teach you, and we've achieved that.
Yeah, it's really funny actually how we're starting to like apply it to literally everything we do, not just the project. Like we have a presentation that we're doing tomorrow, and we did a whole user flow of who's in the audience, what do they hope to get out of this, why are they here, and like really we almost did like our own user flow of like just the presentation itself, and then like that's not an approach I would ever take before going into this program. So that was kind of fun.
That's so cool.
That's true, because I'm going to switch it to UI, user interface, because I didn't really know much about that going into that. And this has been actually a huge portion of Inspire is UI. And I was trying to buy movie tickets, I think, through a website the other day. I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, this is a bad UI. And now I use that everywhere.
My God. I'm having that too. Every time I encounter a website, I'm like, I like this UI. Or, bad user experience.
I'm like, this could be on the left. This could be on the right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes back to like thinking of what are we trying to, the program itself is not, it takes education to a level where it's supposed to be. In my opinion, I come from another university. I've also seen how, multiple universities, I've been invited to speak and work at multiple universities. And the biggest thing that I find education lacks is that inspiration, which funnily enough is the most important thing. Students will go out of their way to teach or find information, learn it, and implement it. But if there's no drive behind that, then none of that will happen. You can throw as much jargon and textbooks at a student and information, and nothing will occur because you haven't inspired that student. And in hindsight of that, inspire students, empower students. We don't, and you tell me, Parker, through your experiences, we haven't thrown text material at you.
Oh,
We've
no.
showed you methodology and why things are important. And you've gone through the processes yourself. I remember there was at the time where you were questioning like, hey, Ali, what if we don't have a fully fledged MVP? And I was like, just trust the process and keep exploring, pivot, and keep moving. And you yourself are now on that grind of, hey, we want to do a nonprofit. And we'll talk about this in later on episode with Javek, and you'll find out more about what they're doing. So I won't spoil too much.
That was a previous episode.
Or a previous episode. I apologize. But yeah, you're inspired now and taking this more than just, hey, this is a co-op or a 9 to 5 and working cool and I'll this go back to school. This is actually something you want to take and move forward with.
Oh,
right?
100%.
And what really motivates is the impact of the projects, that you're doing something meaningful for the society, even if it's small. Yeah. So that inspires the students, and that was our main idea, because in university projects, you make projects, but they're not used in real life. So although you're doing it for good grades, but when you do it here for Inspire, there's like this big impact that you see. You're actually helping real people. So I think it works.
It all comes down to people every time. And interestingly enough, I think that the program itself is a little bit of a filter for people, where it's like, I ended up on a team that was randomly chosen, as far as I'm aware. Maybe you guys had some...
Not random.
Not random. No. Me and Ali worked hard.
Intervention was there.
Everything happens for a reason.
Okay, well, we didn't know anything about each other. We'd never met before. And what I think I've noticed in Inspire is that everyone who is here and chosen to be a part of the program, because they had options, they could be at other co-ops, but they're here. We all end up having very similar values. We all want to make an impact in the world, and we're putting our degrees and minds towards that initiative, and we also want to better ourselves and learn things.
Well, this is something that we were actively looking for in students when we were interviewing, that if their values align with the values that we want to preach. So I think that helped.
Yeah, we tailored like every single thing. Like Nowshin and I and Jenna, as well as Kezia, we sat on tens, maybe I would even say hundreds
of
Zoom calls and interviews. We took notes on how people were and their personalities, and slowly, like literally, I remember this took us like what, a month. Just
we were interviewing till the last day.
Yeah, so
sweating here now. I'm like, oh no.
Maybe like 2 months of work, and we even had in-person interviews, and there was off like virtual interviews at the time.
Oh wow.
And
project-based interviews.
Yeah, we tailored every single team. And so for some teams, there was mishaps at times, there was miscalculations, but for the most part, people interacted. We looked even at skill levels and put different skill levels with different. We wanted that diversity.
Yeah. Right. Well, you guys play it very cool, because like I didn't realize that much intention went into it, and it's definitely working. I was actually going to pass that topic back to you guys a little bit and say that that's what my internal perspective of Inspire is that it's filtered people with similar values, but you guys are here, you're running this for your own reasons, and you have your own backstories and everything, your own sets of values, and that's reflected in everything that you do. Can we get into your guys' backstories a little bit and like how you got here in the first place?
Go ahead.
Sure, I can go first. So I was a fresh graduate working in a university as a lecturer in Bangladesh, and I was looking to get into grad school. So I was searching for professors that I would like to work with, and I found Dana, Dr. Daniela Damian, our program coordinator.
She was in Bangladesh?
Director, sorry. No, she was online.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, my storytelling is not good. Anyway,
great.
so I emailed her, and she replied back after a month, surprise, and she said, oh, do you want to hop on a Zoom call with me? And I'm like, okay, sure. And then she asked me some questions about my interests, research interests, and she was very intrigued by my teaching skills, that I was in teaching and I was helping my students grow. So she liked that attitude, and she said, okay, I have this idea. I'm going to start this project soon. Would you like to come and join? I'm like, of course. I truly believe in helping students grow, and I have seen my students struggle a lot in classes, and me being one of the only 3 girls in my computer science classes, I totally understand the intimidation that students feel when they lack the peer support. So of course I would love to join Inspire, and then I come to Canada, and here I am.
That's incredible. Do you miss your students at all?
My students in Bangladesh, I miss them a lot. They sometimes message me and ask for more advice. I'm like, are you sure you want this advice from me?
Isn't that the best though?
I know, that's the end result. Like, that's what we really thrive for. Like, that's what makes me happy. Like, oh, even if one student is happy with me, I'm happy.
Right? I say that all the time, and then I'm like, whatever you need in the future. But just this past week, I think I got like 10 emails being like, can you give me a reference letter? And I was like, well, all at once. Come on.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah, even if
But
it's
I feel
for
so
a small
important.
advice.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels good that, someone thinks you're important. So.
I know, it's wonderful. Ali, what about you? What's your background? How'd you get here?
Many moons ago. No, I was you guys know me by now. You've interacted with me enough. I like disturbing the peace when it comes to norms. I hate sticking to the same routine and schedule. And I will go above and beyond to break those rules and break those boundaries. And I started off actually back at my university, McMaster, where I noticed that we weren't having enough integrated, we weren't teaching students hands-on experience, or at least the classes I had, we didn't have that much hands-on experience. And outside of engineering, even more so, where, we got to build cool robotic hands and cool little Arduinos, and we would make like little RC cars. But other people who also found these things really, really interesting did not have that chance. And there was no avenue because, I'm sorry, you're in business or you're in art sci or you're in, poli sci, so on and so forth. So I started a club. And I'm pretty sure they have a LinkedIn page. It was called Mac Makers at the time. Pretty sure it's still running.
No way.
Yeah, we went and pitched to the Faculty of Engineering. We got about $10,000. We hosted workshops, and I built a full team.
That's so cool.
Of awesome, like it was amazing individuals who are now all working at like big companies and doing their crazy things. Shout out to you guys. And over a course of 3 years, we built a fully fledged kind of like program at my university, and it was student led. There was no faculty involved other than the support of the Faculty of Engineering, which was like monetary support. And we actually turned that $10,000 to $80,000. So in a way, it was its own startup. So that led to we have a incubator at McMaster called the Forge, which funnily enough is awesome because that's where you harden steel, and for curate swords and all sorts of tools. But at the Forge, we started a startup that focused on other startups. So
you've been hiding this the whole time, haven't you? This is the first time.
Well, I was waiting.
First time I'm here.
I was waiting for the right time.
Waiting for the podcast.
So we had a startup, and over a course of a year, we made about $200,000 to $300,000. And that was just catering to the startups within that little incubator, right? Like, we would actually prototype and actually, it's kind of like they didn't have time to prototype, so we'd prototype for them. And then we wanted to transition to education, but I was like, no, let's get back to it. And as soon as I got back to, my classes and let's get university done with, I applied for IBM. I didn't apply. Actually, through Mac Makers, IBM, I had interacted. We were bringing different companies, and IBM was one of them. And I met Jen Collins, who I'm hoping is in a future episode, from IBM. And she was like, hey, you should come work for us. And so I did. And through IBM, I did a ton of things from technical in nature to running conferences to teaching new technologies to professors and graduates, all the way to actually running a garage. So through that experience, I got super trained. And then as soon as I was like, all right, time to settle down and get university done, I got a call from Dr. Daniela Damian. So Dr. Daniela Damian told me about Inspire. And this was through IBM, of course. Right. They had told her about some of my previous projects. One of them was actually a garage that focused on food insecurity within the subsector of the city of Ottawa called Vanier. And there was a whole project on that. So I was like, yes, I have the methodologies. I have led a team before. And she said, let's upscale this. And through all those past experiences, I was like, oh, life kind of built me up just for this, like this moment. I was like, all right, let's do this. And I don't know. I hope everything turned out well. It's been a lot of work.
We were all meant to be here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that just speaks volumes because similar to Ali, I did my first degree and I was not happy with it because I just wanted to be out in the workforce and I wanted to be learning hands-on, and that wasn't a thing, right? I was very unhappy with that. So I went back for my second degree and I said, I'm going to do it my way. I'm doing exactly what Ali did, was just, courses will get done when the courses get done, but the experiences and the journey to getting there is just like irreplaceable.
Challenging the norms.
Right?
There's no such thing as one pathway.
Yeah, and that's what I really try and inspire, honestly, is my students in like classes is just don't compare yourself to the standard 4-year degree because that's not very realistic anymore, especially in STEM. So
compare yourself to your previous self.
Exactly. I like that.
Do you mind if I ask what your first degree was?
Microbiology.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fun. Really fun. It's not my first rodeo building something from scratch, but it's always fulfilling when not even just seeing that what you're, what I promised or Dr. Damien or what she had promised me had come to fruition, but also see like what the students got out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's, Nowshin and I were talking about this like maybe a couple of days ago. We talk about it constantly, but it's cool seeing you guys in a way grow up.
It's been an incredible journey
and
for
change.
us.
Yeah.
To see everyone grow, see the projects grow. We honestly did not have a lot of expectations, but the amount of things that the students have achieved is just outstanding.
That's phenomenal.
It really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's completely phenomenal.
Do you have any like examples of like some of the largest changes that you've seen in some of the students? You don't have to name anyone, but it's like
for sure.
No, call them out.
Call them out directly.
I mean, Nowshin, you can start off with the student that we had in class that had changed their presentation skills.
So I have seen some students who were very quiet and could not speak up, or like were very vulnerable, or like, maybe I shouldn't say anything. And then I see them growing as human beings and as they're developing their skills of communication and like presenting. And they were so incredible during the June 20th event, which was our biggest event. So that made me really happy. I'm not going to call out anyone. I've also seen students who were very quiet in terms of not taking leadership, but then we have tried to encourage them to take on leadership. They were like, similar to what you were and I were talking, Parker, that some of you think that, maybe we should not take leadership because it comes across as arrogance. But then you really have to learn how to not be arrogant and still be a leader, because sometimes you have to step in and be the leader.
Sometimes you have to step back.
Empower you.
Exactly. Right? Sometimes you also have to step back and let the others lead. So it's like a learning process. These are some of the amazing things that I've seen. And I've also seen some students who are like natural leaders and we're trying to overstep them. But then we worked with them to let them understand that, okay, maybe you should step back and let the others learn from you. So yeah, lots of things. I can't even like stop telling you how many things I've
Could
seen.
just go on forever.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll keep my examples fairly simple. 2 words: fearlessness and confidence. I've seen all the students sort of gain that aspect of, hey, I got this. Hey, I do trust myself, and hey, I'm not afraid of what's to come. Before your presentations at the conference that we had about a month ago or a month and a half ago, you were all so scared, and as soon as you guys stepped on stage, you guys killed it. People were extremely happy with the presentations, and even you guys were like, hey, yeah, we did have that. And now I see you guys going up. I remember the first few presentations, you're like, I don't know, I'm afraid, I don't know how I feel about this. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, we got this. Oh yeah, we prep well in advance. We have practiced enough times. And if you guys noticed, and to the students who were in this program prior, and for those of you that don't know, we practiced presenting since day one. we would have presentations on presentations on presentations on presentations, because you only get confident and good at something and fear less of it when you practice it.
And they're mandatory too. And it's like I'm so grateful that we've gone through it, but like, yeah, there have been a number of times where it's like, oh, I just want to keep working on the project. We just want to keep like developing, but we gotta like slow down and make this presentation happen. And then it's like, and then another presentation and another one and another one. And now it's like, we're proud of the fact that we can like get ourselves together to come up with an effective presentation and like not even like think about it or like, get emotional. And it's like, you look back and it's like, oh my God, like we were avoiding it at first.
Yeah, and it's because of like the way academia has presentations. It's always at the end of the project, or it's always near the final, when you're done your degree, then you have your big presentation on your capstone, or if you're in engineering or sciences. But that's not real life. No.
And the way I look at it is that when you present something, you have to gather your thoughts. When you're constantly working on something, you don't really know what you're doing until the end result. But when you're trying to present something, you have to gather the thoughts. You have to know what you're doing and present it. So it's the way I look at it is it's not only presenting to us, it's also presenting to yourselves what you have achieved so far.
Yeah, it's like taking a moment and, admiring the roses. And the coolest thing that you guys might have not noticed is that over time when you guys are presenting, you gain skills that are needed regardless of which walk of life you're going to need in the future, whether that be a professional industry career, whether that be, you're, remotely working at home, or if you're going to go start up a company. You're going to need, sometimes you need to focus on the product. You need to focus on everything happening inside. But as was discussed in the first episode, your network is key. And you need people to buy that, your products, or you need people to sell your products to, or you need people to fund your, all these inventions. And the only way you get that is through communication, and that communication comes through presentations.
Because we're human-centered.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what Inspire stands for. It's not about the product. Again, it is about the experience, and it is about your learning outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you guys see the future of Inspire going?
That's
just to drop a big question in the middle of the table right there.
I hope that one day Inspire or that this inspires, whether it itself becomes this, or it's other institutions, or it's to become its own institution. I think, and this is just a personal opinion, I think the academia is one of the least innovated within fields. And I'm not talking about any specific university. I'm talking about education in general is so prehistoric. The lecturer sitting in front of you and spewing out stuff and then testing you over how well you have, digested all this spewed out stuff. And no, it's not about inspiring. In my opinion, a school is supposed to teach you how to learn. Right?
And what we're so focused on is just, in academia, especially in higher education, is just research. And you get in that research lab and you work alone until you have that PhD.
Exactly.
But what we should be teaching is how to innovate.
Yeah.
And be creative thinkers.
And how to love a topic, and how to delve deeper into a topic, which is why I love Inspire, or any of the programs I've worked on prior. They put the tools in your hand. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you, I'm not telling you specifically what to do and leading you every step of the way. I'm not spoon feeding you. I'm giving you the right tools. I'm giving you a direction. I'm saying go explore and come back to me when you need help.
And when you fail, I'll be here to catch you.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly the core of experiential learning. And that's where Inspire started. Yeah. So we want everyone to learn from experiences rather than just memorizing.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense. And like the whole approach to human-centered design and UX process, user experience process, it's applicable to not just industry and the tech field. It's quite literally everything. Like now forms like how I make presentations, and if I'm going on to do like a biology degree,
what about even personal relationships, like your friends or your intimate partners? It's who you're now catering to, who they are. It's like, how do I center my current, experience with you to be focused around you and I?
I have actually had moments where I've stopped to think to myself, how is my partner's experience of me? What is
That's such an incredible thing to say.
And this is something that I practiced even before Inspire. Like, I say me, but it wasn't just me. It was a team. And we taught empathy to the first and second year medical students at the Island Medical Program. And this was something I had already practiced is how do I think in the other person's shoes? But there was nowhere to even do that within STEM at all. So I just felt so out of place.
Yeah. Empathy is a very important skill to learn in life. And I think Inspire really wants the students to learn empathy and preach empathy.
I love that you just said that, because for a long time I've believed that empathy is a skill. And I think some people think like, oh, I'm not an empathetic person, or I am an empathetic person. Some people identify as an empath. But it's really easy to get lost. No, it's not. And it's easy to think that you're an empathetic person and like confuse that with sympathy and still not truly understand what's going on for the other person.
And it's not only about being empathetic to others, also being empathetic to yourself.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we just be too harsh on ourselves. And honestly, me being part of Inspire, it's been a very long journey for me to become a good person and be more empathetic, not to everyone, to be on myself as well.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's a skill. Like,
it's a skill,
it's something you practice, you get better at it, be it for other people or for yourself. And that's crucial to the UX process. It's crucial no matter where you go in life.
It's crucial to being a human being.
Crucial to being a human being.
And in my opinion, empathy is something that will gain that success. You know, for students and professionals who are looking for successful, the core and the basis of any business is relationship building. You have a good relationship, people will give you what you want, and they will get what they want too. Empathy allows you to build that trust, right, that you need between people. For example, the number one example I get, and I've seen this in a couple of some user interviews that actually went on, or focus groups that you had in person, people got heated. And sometimes people got angry, people got sad. And it's not something that we see regularly in academia because we're so
close-knit.
Shielded. We're always shielded whenever we're in school by we're gonna give you the perfect conditions. No, don't worry, the client's not gonna have any opinions on what you do. But no, you guys were pitching to real people. People felt different ways about different topics that were discussed, and you had to handle that. You had to take in their anger, take in their sadness, take in their grief, and rebound it in a positive way. And that allows you to, and sometimes not even rebound it, just listen, you know?
That's the funny thing about it is like, there was another Inspire member that I was sort of bonding over, like a mutual book that we've read back when I first met the guy.
What's the book?
It's called Nonviolent Communication by, what is the name? Rosenberg. It's by Rosenberg. Anyway, it illustrates the fact that empathy is a skill that you learn. And when you really get in the mindset of empathy, you actually don't take things personally. Because when you're upset by someone else's anger, it's because you're actually not considering them well enough. You're considering how it affects you. But if you're really thinking like, why is this person acting this way? And you're making inferences about their reality. You're like, are you angry because blah or X, Y, Z? And they'll angrily say yes or no, you know, and you continue on with that process. Like, you're getting to the heart of something, and in a strange way, you end up diffusing the circumstance, and you don't even realize that you just went through an emotionally charged experience because you're so focused on just understanding that you forget to be offended.
I'm very happy that you explained it that way, and I'm glad that's what you took through the program.
Oh, definitely.
As a garage coordinator, I'm very proud right now.
Yeah, it's honestly true because like growing up, I would always ask why, because I wanted to know more and more and more. And especially in circumstances like that, I would put myself into another person's shoes and I would ask why. I mean, I drive my mother crazy, I'm pretty sure, when I was younger, but my students appreciate that now. So
I mean,
it paid out.
And isn't that why we are becoming future innovators and problem solvers?
Absolutely.
You want to help people, and help people. You need to understand people. You need to actually feel what they're feeling, and you need to understand what they're going through. And it's only through that experience where you can cater something to them, whether that be the new, Instagram or new Twitter or new electric car or new mobile phone or whatever crazy invention comes next. You need to cater to a user. You need to find a problem.
And it's how you end up building the right thing. And I got to say, like, the skill sets that have been taught through Inspire and through, like, the IBM courses and programs really have solidified user experience and and empathy for sure.
We're glad.
Yeah, you'll never think another way again, honestly.
It's hard to go back. It's just
Well,
another way to
why
be.
would you want to go back?
Well,
That's
I
the
mean,
question.
lifelong learning is a thing, and I'm pretty sure there's always multiple ways to
Oh, yeah.
approach a problem. But this is one of the more
It's foundational.
foundational,
Mm-hmm.
and you can build upon it. That's the coolest thing about
Yep.
enterprise design thinking, or empathetic design, or agile, or Scrum, or any of the things that we've learned is they're modular in a sense. You can build them as part of your foundation and keep growing, keep putting skills on top of that.
Absolutely.
Our job as the coordinators were to introduce these things to you because you're all mostly from STEM, so you know about technology. We wanted you to explore STEM in a way that you can help people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not just being cognitively intelligent, but also emotionally intelligent.
And you know,
Yeah.
the ironic thing is that people consider STEM, I think, most likely as like somehow less humanity focused. Like there's a
Mhm.
humanities department, but good STEM is still focused on people. Like that's the
Exactly.
hard part.
Yeah,
And that about wraps it up for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in
anytime.
and making the time today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to both of
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm your co-host, Parker DeBrune.
And I'm your co-host, Jenna Millman. And remember to stay inspired and empowered. So we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Woo!
I'm Parker DeBrune.
I'm your co-host, Jenna Millman.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. Until next time, stay inspired.